Good afternoon to all. So today's drug is Aurum Met. The common name is gold, as we all know. It's the precious or uh, the noble metal that we all chase for all our occasions, the auspicious occasions of marriages, uh, whatever it is. Whenever you have a social gathering, yes, we tend to have this thing somewhere in our body, most probably a bracelet or a chain or whatever it is. Alright. So yeah. So we have some family members like Aurum Met, Aurum Ars, Aurum Iode, Aurum Self. Okay. Generally, to say these are less used remedies when you compare with Aurum Met, but then Kent has a definite descriptions of all these things. Each and Aurum Ars, Iode, and Self in Kent have been described as cancerous remedies and very much used at that time for syphilitic conditions. Okay, but when you think in this point of time, I think all these remedies are, I think, not much explored, and I think you need to have a little of synthetic prescription also here, because Aurum features as well as the the second compound that is coming up here, like arsenicum or iodatum, sulfuricum, all can show their own features. So when you go for Kent description of Aurum Self, you can see something that is particular. Standing aggravation of self component can be seen in Aurum Self, whereas a peculiar symptom of Aurum Ars is there is disorderness, whereas arsenic is known for orderliness. He is fastidious, but Aurum Ars shows disorder character. Okay, so there are some variations in the character that we can see in the descriptions and all. But whatever it is, let's dive into Aurum Met. Aurum Met again is a frequent prescription in uterine conditions, particularly fibroids, polyps and all. Alright. So Aurum Met has a constitution that has been broken down by bad effects of mercury and syphilis. So that's what I've said before. Sanguine, ruddy people, okay, with black hair and eyes, lively, restless, anxious about future. So here in the remedy you can see there is a constant anxiety running through the remedy. Why they are anxious, we'll go there. Okay, old people with weak vision, corpulent and tired of life. Okay, so please imagine some people who you can relate to. So they are lively enough, so they have in that healthy state, they have the lively nature. They are sanguine, okay, and they are full of blood. They are restless, they are anxious about future, and when they are old enough, they have weak vision, they are corpulent, okay, and they are tired of life. Pining boys, low-spirited, lifeless, weak memories, lacking in boyish go, okay, testis undeveloped, mere pendant shreds. So something we are speaking of like a undescended testes. Okay, you can see a lot of testicular manifestations in this remedy. If you go for a male side, you can see female genital affections here. So there's a lot to speak about Aurum. It's a very deep acting remedy. Alright. Yeah. So a narcissist will ask you to leave them alone and then get offended when you do. Why I've kept this thing? It has no relation, but I want you to remember oversensitiveness from this picture. Okay, so it is oversensitive to sound or touch and all. Okay, so here you have ailments from fright, anger, contradictions, mortification, vexation, dread, or reserved displeasure. Very important symptom of Aurum Met. Okay, you have a lot of remedies to compare because of each word being important. Ailments from fright, you can think of opium, gels. Anger, contradictions, you can think of, your anacardium. Okay, then you have asterias, which we have discussed in the previous class. Mortification, you have staphy, reserved displeasure, you have staphy again. Okay, so each and everything has their own things. See, from what the ailment factor, he is going into a state of suicide. So that speaks of the syphilitic character running through the remedy. Constantly dwelling on suicide, profound melancholy, feels hateful and quarrelsome, decide to commit suicide. Life is a constant burden after abuse of mercury with nearly all complaints. So there is profound melancholy running throughout the remedy. Each and every complaint can be attended with this symptom. Okay, so imagine, I think this description is already known to all. So there is an portrayal of a person who takes a lot of responsibility, and there is a constant need of accomplishing that in a very rightful manner. So Aurum is kind of highly moral person, with enough and more stress running through his occupation or job, or even his home, whatever it is. So it's something like that, and when he fails to do that, they tends to go into this melancholic state and suicidal disposition. Alright, uneasy, hurried, great desire for mental and physical activity, cannot do things fast enough. So that's hurried nature of arsen nitricum is being compared here, and this person is oversensitive to pain, smell, taste, hearing, touch, everything, and least contradictions excites wrath. The comparison to conium. Alright. Physical genitals, you have syphilitic and mercurial affections of bones, particularly your nasal, palatine, and mastoid bones. Okay, mastoid. Mastoid problems, capsicum being one of the important remedy. You have to add Aurum group of remedies also to that list. Okay. Now, when is the pain worse? It is at night, which drives them to despair. Okay, and again this syphilitic thing is running up. When you go and read asafoetida, that is another remedy that have all the nasal bone affections that you can see, necrosis and all those things like that. Okay, caries of nasal bones and all. In head, you have a headache of people with dark olive brown complexion, sad, gloomy, taciturn. Okay, disposed to constipation from least mental exertion. So he's a person who is pretty much reserved. He doesn't want to talk, and he has very violent headaches, and he is also disposed to constipation. There is also falling of hair, especially in syphilitic and mercurial affections. See, I want you to remember this thing, which can come up as a MCQ from physiology point of view as well as from materia. There is hemiopia, sees only the lower half. Sees only the lower half. So what you can see here on the left side of the screen is a person that is able to see only the lower half. That is why it is white, and the black thing is the place where this person is blind. Okay, so sees only the lower half, you can see in Aurum, whereas sees only the left half, that you can see in lithium carbon lycopodium. So what it is known is basically your superior homonymous quadrantopia. Okay, so that is something that you can see in your Aurum Met, where the lesion is in the contralateral temporal lobe, specifically at the inferior optic radiation. Okay, and here it is right homonymous hemianopia. Okay, lesion is at the left optic tract or optic radiation. Okay, so I need you to remember this thing. Okay, it can be helpful even in physiology side also. Then you have something very important, single line remedy, that is your foul breath in girls at puberty. One line symptom that is very important on behalf of Aurum Met. Okay, foul breath in girls at puberty, very specific symptom. Female, you have a lot of symptoms in female. female have prolapsed indurated uterus from overreaching or straining like that of Restox and Podophyllum. Okay, and there is also from hypertrophy like that of Conia. Okay, so you have basic thing to remember is prolapse of uterus, and that is induration. Induration is running throughout the aurum group. Okay, menstrual and uterine affections with great melancholy. We already discussed melancholy. Okay, pardon me. Yeah, so great melancholy runs throughout the remedy, and this remedy has aggravation during menses. Okay, something like your actia racemosa. Okay. In cardiovascular system, you have sensation as if the heart stood still, as though it ceased to beat and then gave one hard thump. Okay, so there is the sensation as though it ceased to beat, it stopped beating and then suddenly gave a hard thump. Okay, that is some sensation that you can see in aurum as well as in sepia. Violent palpitation and anxiety with congestion of blood to head and chest after exertion. Pulse small, feeble, can be rapid, irregular, visible beating of carotid and temporal arteries, just like your bell and glenoid. So what it can denote is basically some kind of your hypertension. Okay, malignant hypertension can happen, can be an accelerated hypertension. So whatever it is, basically you have some kind of fullness of arteries that we are seeing here. We have fatty degeneration of heart like that of phosphorus. Okay, from boric you have some points to be taken. Exostosis, caries, nightly bone pains, we all discussed that. Glands swollen, we said all the induration and all. There is arteriosclerosis, which accounts for the high blood pressure, and nightly paroxysm of pain behind the sternum. So something like an angina. Okay, constant rapid questioning without waiting for reply. Okay, another important thing, you cannot do things fast enough. Interstitial keratitis, vascular conia. Okay, vascular conia, something very important. And trachoma with pannus. So there is pannus formation in trachoma. Okay, so there are some eye manifestations that you can actually study, which all are very important in your daily practice as well as in ophthalmology side. Okay, yeah. Then you have obstinate fitted otorrhea after scarlatina, knobby tip of nose. Knobby tip of nose is a very important symptom. Urine, buttermilk with thick segment, pain and swelling of testicles, something like a orchitis or hydrocele, and soreness of affected bones, better in open air versus at night. So generally aurum has a tendency of showing a hot patient like of symptoms. Okay, aggravation in cold. Aggravation in cold, when getting cold, while lying down, mental exertion, many complaints come only in winter. Okay, and amelioration in warm air, when growing warm in the morning and during summer. So he is better with hot and he is worse in the cold, but he is generally better in open air. That is why I have said this thing as a hot patient. Okay, I understand there is a confusion, but I would like you to remember and go back to Kent and all. You will see a lot of open air amelioration in Kent, and that is why I have said this thing. Okay, yeah, and it is followed well by syphilis. Okay, some another syphilitic remedy. What is the question here? Which is the symptom of Aurum Met from the following? Induration testes of after gonorrhea. Okay, not that. Stony heart, scrofulous, especially lower jaw. Okay, not that. Pining boys. Yeah, that is the answer. Okay, mere pendant shits, all those things. Left side principally affected. Okay, so the first is basically your rhododendron. Third is your bromium. And left side affected, basically it's I think laxus. Yeah. Okay, and then you have ailments from reserve, displeasure and mortification is seen in lycopodium, staphy, natramure, ignatia, all of the above. The answer is all of the above as usual. And please see these are the comparisons. Mesarium right side headache after vexation. Okay, take a screenshot. Thank you.